I'm Channique Sterling-Brown. I'm an actor and director and writer, and I'll be appearing as Feste in her productions, all-female non-binary production of Twelfth Night. So yeah, it's very exciting. Feste is a really fun and just interesting character. There's a lot of depth to the character. Feste is like famously one of Shakespeare's wisest fools, and very much is sort of the I don't want to say oracle, but is almost quite removed from the other characters in the play, and is almost like just sort of operating on a sort of different vibration. Is very observational and um, you know has ideas well above their station
Yeah.
and is able to, sort of transcend status, is able to communicate with all the different characters who are also different statuses and stuff. And sort of, it's just like it doesn't, any none of it really applies to Feste. So yeah, a really fun character. And then you chuck in that we're setting it in Blackpool, and then it becomes something even more fun, really camp, really exciting. Some really fun tunes will be sung. So yeah, it's a great character to get my teeth stuck into.
And I know you kind of said you're a Shakespeare fan and kind of Shakespeare Schools Festival is where it kind of happened for you in beginnings. And then what was the
Yeah.
kind of big draw for this production in particular?
So I am such a big fan of her productions work anyway. I've worked with them in a directing capacity and a writing capacity. But yeah, I've never been in one of their productions, more just because things haven't necessarily aligned at the right time and stuff. But I'm a huge supporter of Hannah and the team, and so I've seen many of the Shakespeares. I actually think their first Unseemly Shakespeare was Romeo and Juliet, and that's the first show that I saw when I moved to Manchester. So that will have been probably about 2018. Um, so yeah, I've always been like a supporter of this because I think it's so fun and such an exciting way to bring Shakespeare to people. Um, and so yeah, it aligned nicely. The time was right to be part of it, and I've been having a great time.
And how do you approach putting your own stamp on a role that's been played like thousands of times previously?
That's a great question. For me, I think it's always just finding about the truth of the character. I think like we all bring elements of ourselves to every character, so therefore it's always going to be unique if you're looking for the truthful aspect. So yeah, for me it was like, what does Feste has never been played in this context necessarily with these other characters opposing, and obviously not by me. So I think like it's just about trying to marry together your own, I guess, interpretation, but also just sort of bring some of your own sort of fun and flair. And that's been really fun, especially setting it in Blackpool, setting it with like contemporary music and stuff. I think it's really, really exciting. And yeah, will be really good fun.
And as you say, touched on the music. Music is such a big part of the character anyway in Shakespeare's text. How much fun is it to get to discover that music element of the play as well as the text?
Yeah, it's been great. I love singing and I love music. And I'm not a musical theatre trained actor, so it's really a new challenge for me, which has been really fun to explore that. And yeah, I enjoy it, but I always find singing a lot more vulnerable than acting, because I think when you sing, you feel like more yourself. So it's been exciting to approach singing through the lens of a character. I've really enjoyed that.
And obviously, as you say, the her productions, kind of the traditional all-female, non-binary casting. How is it exciting to be in that world where all these people are these kind of gender roles are just fluid and free to create together?
Yeah, it's so fun. I think it's probably the one of, well, not the only, but obviously the gender binary is really relevant to the plot of this story.
Yeah.
Um, so it has been like quite interesting for us working out what we're playing as, how we're playing what, and how fluid. Normally, where these are in her productions shows, it's super fluid, the gender. Obviously, there does to a certain extent have to be some binary for the story to make sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's been really interesting. Again, like for me, it's been a bit different because Feste just sort of exists separately of it all. So I kind of have landed on. I think Feste is probably pretty non-binary to be honest, but it is really interesting. And I think like in the space, we have a wonderful cast, we have a wonderful team. And I just think it really allows a certain level of freedom that is just so brilliant and beautiful. And I think it unlocks like that. Yeah, it's just very liberating, I think, to be super comfortable, to play and explore. Um, and so, yeah, even where things have had to lean into the binary to serve the plot, I still feel like I hope that the audience will still feel the liberation of like the stereotypical constraints, so to speak. So yeah.
And obviously, you're touring the show in the north. How thrilling is it to get to kind
Yeah.
of bring it to northern audiences like this?
Oh, it's brilliant. I think it's so important. I think, as I say, Shakespeare was my way in. I saw King Lear at the West Yorkshire Playhouse whilst I was doing the Shakespeare Schools Festival when I was like 14. So, that's like, in Leeds, obviously, Leeds West Yorkshire Playhouse. And so I think Shakespeare really has the ability to reach lots of different people. But it has to be brought to them, so to speak. So I feel really excited, especially as a northerner, to get to take it. We'll be going to Huddersfield, which is my sort of where my family are. Then they're just up the road, so that'll be really fun. To sort of take it to my hometown. And I think it's great because I think Northern voices also really suit Shakespeare. Went to see Northern Broadside during sort of my uh training. Actually, it probably will have been during my A levels and stuff. But yeah, like I love Shakespeare in a northern accent as well. And yeah, hopefully, therefore, audiences will find it super relatable, especially sort of like getting the Blackpool references and stuff like that.
And obviously, audiences will know you for your time on Coronation Street. What was the kind of
Yeah.
biggest lesson you've kind of taken away from the 3 years you've done there, and kind of how you're using that going
Ooh,
forwards?
that's a great question. I think my biggest lesson from Corrie is a couple of things. I think like one is like you just never stop learning. I loved being at Coronation Street because obviously you have so many incredible actors at so many different stages in their career, and there's just something to learn from everyone. And I think that's really brilliant. And I love that the nature of this career is that what works for you, you can just kind of soak it up, and what doesn't, you don't have to. But I really think like being a sponge is like just the best way to sort of
Yeah,
develop in this career. And so Corey really, really gave me the opportunity to be a sponge because I mean, where else could you work with people who have like been on the West End and this and that and all these different facets, but then also or been in this show for like 60 years, so
yeah,
it's a really incredible training ground, but it also just taught me how to work quickly.
yeah, yeah,
The nature of soap, I think like I don't think words could have ever prepared me for it, and I think even still now I don't think anyone can understand it unless they experience it, but it's so quick, you have to work so fast. And you might bump into actors who have been super established. I was listening to Sally Lindsay and Saran Jones's podcast the other day, and they were talking about how it's still to this day one of the hardest jobs they ever did. And I genuinely can believe that to be true.
yeah.
Having a whole career ahead of me, it is hard work and it's fast work. But there is something really, what's the word? Empowering, I guess, even though it can be quite tiring, it's really empowering as an actor to know you can deliver under pressure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of helped me definitely.
And then if you could turn the tables and interview Shakespeare, what do you think you'd want to ask him about the play?
Ooh, that's a great question. What would I want to ask him about the play? I would want to ask him why there's so many broken hearts at the end of the play. Seems
Yeah,
such a shame, It seems like all the real, well, not all the real, but some of the more the relationships that had more depth, like Antonio and stuff like that, even Sir Andrew, they they sort of end quite messily and like with quite a few lonely hearts out there. And I think that's such a shame because it's a love story and a comedy. So I definitely would want to know why he chose that. And I would actually ask, it's so silly, but at the end I quote the world famous "Some are born great, some are achieve greatness." And instead of have some have greatness thrust upon them, my line is "Some have greatness thrown upon them." And I just don't know why he changed that one last line. That is so annoying.
Yeah.
No, if that was just like an error and he forgot that he'd written thrust like three times prior.
Yeah. That's interesting, that. And then
Yeah.
my final question for you, simply what would you hope an audience member takes away from seeing Twelfth Night?
It's a great question too. I really hope audiences just feel really full and joyful after watching the show. It's super fun, it's super camp. But as a cast, we're really enjoying ourselves and we have got really tight, and I think that chemistry will really read. So I really hope they enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed the process and as much as we will enjoy bringing it to them.
Well, Shanique, it's a pleasure to talk to you. It just leads me to, I'm going to run through the dates for it. So you're at the Duke's
Perfect.
in Lancaster, 19th to the 21st of June, Hope Mill in
Yeah.
Manchester, 24th of June to the 5th of July,
Yes.
Rochdale Heywood Civic from 9th and 10th of July, and then Lawrence Batley Theatre in Huddersfield, 14th and 15th of July.
That's right. Yes.